Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Before we go to the editorial analysis, I would like to start the session with a nice quote. What is today's quote? Hard work will never betray you. It's a very useful quote in the sense when you people work hard, every day you work hard, somewhere you may have an element of doubt, will I get success? But always remember, there is no substitute for hard work, and hard work will never betray you. Betray means what? Backstab, not being loyal. Hard work will always fetch you success. No second thoughts about that. A very useful quote while preparing for competitive exams. And today's editorial is all about economy, Indian economy. Not easy to understand, but today I'm going to do it differently. It's all about statistical data. Fine, thank you. It's all about statistical data. So, no point in reading out. I'm going to focus on the language part. Besides the editorial analysis, today you're going to work on practice questions based on exam topics. You're going to work on errors, fillers, synonyms, antonyms I have brought for the first time, and as usual, editorial words. Now let us go to the editorial words vocabulary. Some of these words are very important, and you can say umber or amber. Both are correct. British English, umber, and American English, amber. So, what does it mean? It is actually resin, plant material, and many fossils are preserved in that. That is one meaning. But another meaning of that, it goes with color. That meaning goes with this particular context. And amber or umber, traffic light, is used as a warning. So, what is the key word over here? It is used as a warning between red and green. You all know red danger, green something positive. In between, you have warning. So, in this context, it talks about, it starts with amber on economy. Means what? A warning for economy. That's how you have to relate. Inflation, this goes with, as I said, this article or this editorial is all about Indian economy. So you got to know a few basic words that go with Indian economy, and then it becomes easy for you to make out what exactly the editorial wants to say. Is it on? Everything is on. Is it streaming? Please answer my question. I want someone to answer. Is it streaming? Fine. Now, inflation, that's a term that goes with economy. An increase in prices over time causing a reduction in the value of money. So, what is inflation? Prices go up and the value of money comes down. Inflation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Revival, we have got many a time. Improvement in the condition, strength, or fortunes of someone or something. Thanks for the feedback. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Revival, improvement, making something better, bring back the original standards. Revival, revitalize, related word. And prudent, another important word, acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Being wise, prudent, wisdom, wise, acting with or showing care and thought for the future. Pace, we have got many a time. Pace means move or develop at a particular rate or speed. You can also remember pace, speed. Spurred, a new word, to encourage an activity or development or make it happen faster. Spur something means make something happen faster or encourage an activity. Persistent, we have got many a time. Continuing to exist or occur over a prolonged period. Persist, persistent, occur for a long time. Prolonged, we got yesterday, to last for a long time. Disconcerting, I think we got this word yesterday or day before yesterday, means what? Causing one to feel unsettled. It also means a bit confused, a bit lost. Disconcerting, disconcerted. Encompass, surround or have or hold within. Surround something, we use encompass something. Reassure, reassuring. serving or intended to remove someone's doubts or fears. You have some apprehension, some fear, some doubt. Someone says, no, no, nothing to worry. That means the person is trying to reassure. Serving or intended to remove someone's doubts or fears. Slump, usually this goes with business context. Slump, there's a slump in the market, means what? A sudden, severe, or prolonged fall in the price. The prices come down and there's no business. Not only the prices coming down, imagine there's no business, there's no sales. Then we say there's a slump in the market. And cited, it means to quote as an example, authority, or proof. You make a statement and you want to substantiate, then you have to cite something, means what? Quote as an example. Silver lining, already have learned the idiomatic expression, every cloud has a silver lining. An advantage that comes from a difficult or unpleasant situation. You are in a difficult situation, unpleasant situation. In that situation also, there is an opportunity or some advantage. Then we say every cloud has a silver lining. Crimped, we have got for the first time. This is a new word. Have a limiting or adverse effect on something. Crimp, we have got the word cripple many a time. Cripple someone and the person cannot function. Here, in a way related to that word, crimp, limiting or adverse effect. Adverse means bad, negative. Scarcity, we have got many a time. The state of being scarce or in short supply, shortage. Scarcity means what? Shortage. Yes, that also you can use adi. Abide by, we got yesterday. Abide by rules and regulations, abide by law. Law abiding citizen. But another meaning of the word abide, to remain or continue, to exist, to continue. Abides means it continues, it remains. Tenuous, a new word, weak, unimportant, or in doubt. And defer, we have got many a time, put off or simply postpone. Drop their guard. This is an idiomatic expression, to stop being careful to avoid danger or difficulty. Whenever there's a difficult situation, whenever someone is in danger, they're supposed to be alert, attentive, and vigilant. But that time they don't do that, then we say they drop their guard. Means they were not attentive, they are not vigilant. These are the words, I think more than 15 words. Very useful, some of them. As I said at the outset, today I'm not going to talk about the usual way. I'm not going to do analysis because it is purely based on statistical data. It's all about Indian economy, and there's a problem. Amber on economy means warning on economy. And the main idea of the editorial, because of the warning, policymakers must focus on inflation, as high prices will put at risk the revival of demand. Now there is a revival of demand. Revival, inflation, I have already given the meaning. Increase in prices over time, causing reduction in the real value of money. And revival, bring back the original standards or improve the condition, bring back to the original condition. We also use revitalize, revival, in a way they're related. So this talks about, I would like to talk about the editorial in a nutshell. Then we'll focus on the language aspect, and I want you guys to respond. So here, this editorial talks about inflation, the major problem right now in the present scenario. It says, on the one hand, there's a revival of demand that is good for economy. On the other hand, there's a problem. What is the problem? Inflation. Because of this problem, the editorial says, policymakers must focus on, there is a particular area that has to be focused on and must focus on inflation. Why should they focus on inflation? Why should they control inflation? High prices will put at risk, they will put at risk the revival of demand. Now there's a revival after COVID-19 impact of the pandemic, a revival of demand, which is good for the economy, but it is at risk if inflation is not controlled. This is the editorial, main idea of the editorial. Now today I'm going to focus on and be attentive, be alert, and try to respond whenever I ask a question. We are going to focus on the language proficiency aspect today. The latest data on inflation. This is the latest data on inflation. This is a phrase. Then usually writers, they try to add more information to the main idea, both in retail and wholesale prices. both and in retail and wholesale prices, as well as industrial output estimates. What is the verb over here? The subject is the latest data, and the verb, you see, after so many, one phrase and one clause or two phrases, you have the verb. The latest data suggests it would be prudent to adopt caution on the outlook for the economy. It would be prudent. Suggest is a verb. Suggest what? Object. Here we have a clause. It would be prudent to adopt caution on the outlook for the economy. Now, we are not going to focus on the analysis aspect. We are going to focus on the language aspect today for a change. And I want you guys to give the feedback at the fag end of the session. So here, the latest data on inflation. The subject is the latest data on inflation phrase. Before I do this, I would like to clarify. Some students may wonder, sir, why all of a sudden this change in the approach? There is a reason for that. One, as I said, this is based on statistical data. There's nothing to analyze as such. Second, your exams are fast approaching. When it comes to comprehension skill, you should have the ability to make out the basic pattern, one thing, subject, verb, object pattern. And usually writers, they add phrases and clauses to the subject. They may add phrases and clauses to the object, and they may also use a phrase or a clause as an object. So that awareness helps in the when it comes to the exam. Here, data. Some students may think data. How come suggest? It should be suggests. But do remember there are some nouns of Latin and Greek origin. The singular form, plural form, they don't follow the usual pattern. What is the usual pattern? Adding s or es. Some of those are criterion, phenomenon, memorandum, alumnus, and datum. Old English datum singular, data plural. Here data is used as a plural noun. Based on that, data suggest. But if you take data, it can also be a collective noun. Imagine the writer wanted to use it as a collective noun, then we have to say suggests. We have to say suggests. But here it has been considered a plural noun. This is very important from the exam point of view. And also, when you attend the session or when you read the editorial, do remember you should always focus on the exam. Whatever you learn, whether English or quant or reasoning, your approach should be exam approach. And the moment you have to be on your feet, that means what, you have to be alert, and the moment you come across a particular word that is important from the exam point of view, you have to recollect whatever you have learned, and you should also consolidate. So the latest data, then immediately you have to recollect datum, singular, data plural. Data can also be a collective noun, and if it is used as a collective noun, we have to add s or es to the verb. But here, the latest data on inflation phrase, both and, again, this is very important from the exam point of view. It goes with conjunctions. Datum, data, noun related information, both and. A common error, a lot of people say both as well as. He is a singer and a dancer. That is one thing. He is both a singer as well as a dancer. Not correct. Both takes and. This you have to recollect, both in retail and wholesale prices, as well as, this is also very important. Why is this important? As well as, when we try to join two nouns using conjunctions like with, together with, along with, as well as, besides, in addition to, like, unlike, there's so many. The verb agrees with the first subject, not with the second subject. That you have to recollect. As well as industrial output estimates suggest. Now, all this, the latest data suggest it would be prudent. There's a clause to adopt. It would be prudent to do what? To adopt caution on the outlook for the economy. The main idea, it would be prudent to adopt. Again, when you come across the word, let's see, now there's a word adopt. You have to think of confusing words. What is the difference between, you have to recollect and consolidate, adapt and adopt. Adapt and adopt. Adopt one meaning you take someone's child and make yours, then it is adoption. And another meaning adopt means to take into consideration, to accept something. Adapt means to get used to something. He got adapted to the American culture, means what? He got used to American culture, that you have to recollect. On the outlook for the economy, again you have to focus on the phrases. On the outlook for the economy. So it starts with amber, on economy, on economy. Remember the prepositional combination is very important. October's retail inflation based on the CPI showed. Again, what is the subject here? In English, generally, we use subject. We start the sentence with a subject, and the subject is one particular word, or it can be a phrase, it can be a clause. In the exam, if you come across a lengthy sentence, always read the sentence very carefully. And you should be able to adapt means skill. Very good, Raghu. I appreciate that. Adapt, adopt, and one more word that results in confusion. What is that? Adept. Adept means skilled, adept writer, adept speaker, adept driver. So, whenever you come across a lengthy sentence in the exam, do remember you should have the ability to find out what the subject is, what the verb is, what the object is. That is very important. So, October's retail inflation based on the CPI, this is a subject. Showed. What is the verb here? Showed. All this in the place of subject. October's retail inflation based on the CPI showed. Showed what? You ask the question always. What? Whom? When you use these two question words, if you get an answer, the answer is the object. Any other question word, it is not the object. Usually, if it is not an object, it could be an adverb of place, time, manner, any of these. So here, showed a slight quickening in overall year-on-year price gains to 4.48% from the 4.35% pace in September. Year-on-year price gains means increase. Pace, here there's one word, the speed, spurred by a persistent acceleration in the prices. Spurred means what? To encourage an activity or development or make it happen faster. Something has spurred means activated or encouraged. And in that process, what happens? It may happen faster. By a persistent means continuing to exist or occur over a prolonged period for a long time. So, spurred by a persistent acceleration. Here, it's a lengthy sentence. October's retail inflation based on the CPI subject showed verb a slight quickening in overall year-on-year price gains, that is object, to 4.48% from the 4.35% pace in September. Then there's a comma. Then it talks about spurred by a persistent reason behind, the writer wants to add more information, spurred by a persistent acceleration in the prices of certain key food items and transport fuels. And this has happened because of what? Encouraged by existing for a long time, prolonged acceleration. Accelerate means to speed up. How to find out whether subject or verb? It is very simple. Whenever we talk about someone or something. That someone or something is a subject. You should ask the question here, what does the sentence talk about? October's retail inflation based on the CPI showed. Something showed. Substitute. For all these words, you can use simply one demonstrative adjective or demonstrative pronoun. This showed. This is a subject. When you say this showed something, this is a subject. In place of this has been used, the phrase has been used. Very simple. Ask the question, what is this sentence about? When you get the answer is a subject. For example, a simple sentence, the book is on the table. What am I talking about? The book. The book is a subject. He is teaching. Who am I talking about? Whom am I talking about? He. He is the subject. Based on that, before whatever comes before a verb, usually that is a subject. That's why I have written the basic sentence pattern in English: subject, verb, object. I hope you guys got it. Please respond. Now, based on this analysis on the first slide, the text on the first slide, oils and fats logged. What is the subject here? You have to respond. We are doing it. I'm going to make it interactive. I will do the analysis, but at the same time, you try to respond in terms of subject, verb, object. Oils and fats logged, that is a verb. 3.5% inflation, object, while adding more information. Meat and fish and pulses and products both saw a marginal easing in the pace of annual gains from September, posting 7.1% and 5.4% increases respectively. Here, actually, the writers they try to add more information in one sentence. The writer should have could have stopped. Oils and fats logged 33.5% inflation. Subject, verb, object. Logged what? 33.5% inflation. But the writer wants to add more information. How does he or she do that? While meat and fish pulses, that means some other category. He wants to talk about another category. He starts with oils and fats, while meat and fish and pulses and products both saw a marginal easing in the pace of annual gains from September, posting 7.1% and 5.4% increases respectively. Marginal means slight, not substantial. And when you see the word however, you have to think of the contrasting words. In English, we express while also can be here. While talks about contrast, and however also talks about contrast. What are the typical contrasting words? However, while also we can use as a contrasting word. While also goes with continuous tenses. While I was writing, he was listening. Continuous, past continuous. And while goes with a contrasting idea. However, nevertheless, log means to register in this context, Raghu. Logged here means a register. Usually we say log book. In the log book, you enter something. So in this context, it means to register, to show. So, however, though, although, nevertheless, nonetheless, while, all these are despite, in spite of, contrasting words. So, writers use contrasting words quite often. However, the food and beverages subindex that accounts for over half the CPI accelerated. See, where is a verb? However, the food and beverages subindex that accounts for over half the CPI, all these words in the position of subject. Accelerated. You have to just focus. It accelerated. 2.3% month on month, an important phrase. Led by, again, you have a verb, led by, adding more information. Led by vegetable prices that reared up sharply by 14.2% from September's levels. Here, disconcerting, there's one word we got yesterday. The sequential trend in the food category. Again, all this comes in the position of the subject. The sequential trend in the food category. The sequential trend, the subject. In the food category, the phrase adding information to that is, what is the verb here? Is. Particularly disconcerting. Is disconcerting means what? Causing one to feel unsettled, a little lost or confused. As except egg and fruits, all the 10 other items of the 12 component subindex saw prices accelerate last month. You all know the meaning of the word accelerate. Accelerate means what? That's a standard phrase we cannot question. Yadav, month on month, year on year, these are standard phrases. We cannot question why. We have to accept, respect, and move on. Accelerate means to speed up. Transport and communication, which encompasses. This you have to question what is the reason. Here, answer my question. Transport, noun, communication, noun, and there's a conjunction. We have two nouns, and which encompasses. The writer has added s to the verb because it is in present tense. You should ask the question, how come? This is a bit strange. Transport and communication, which encompass, would have been better. Which encompasses, perhaps the writer considered these two one unit. English people, when they consider two nouns one unit, they use a singular verb. For example, bread and butter is his favorite breakfast. Slow and steady wins the race. Perhaps that is the idea, which encompasses, means covers, surrounds the pump prices of petrol and diesel, logged inflation of 10.9% from the October 2020 level, lending justification to the center's Deepavali Eve decision to cut the excise duty on the key fuels. So there's one particular, I will explain that also. Something very specific, you have to use that. Something that is not specific, not mandatory, just to add more information, then you have to use which. Remember this way, which, not essential for the clause, for the sentence, but that essential, very specific. And here it talks about lending justification to the center's Diwali or Deepavali Eve decision. There is one word over here, eve, on the eve of. When a speaker starts the presentation, he or she says, on the eve of, means on the occasion of. Here, Deepavali occasion, decision to cut the excise duty on the key fuels. With the WPA also showing price pressures intensifying at the wholesale level last month, especially for fuel and power and manufactured products, October's headline WPI inflation accelerated. Where is the verb here? Look at this sentence, such a lengthy sentence, but you don't find the verb initially. With the WPI also showing, here also showing non-finite verb on the eve of Christmas, on the eve of New Year, on the eve of Deepavali, with the WPI also showing price pressures intensifying at the wholesale level last month, especially for fuel and power and manufactured products. October's headline WPI inflation accelerated. You have the verb here, and here you may think, so what about intensifying? What about showing? These are non-finite verbs. You have to recollect finite and non-finite. What is the difference between these two if you ask? Finite verbs, they have a tense and they have to agree with the subject in person and number. A non-finite verb does not have a tense. It doesn't have to agree with the subject in person and number. For example, if I say he is swimming, swimming is a finite verb, present continuous tense. Swimming is the best exercise. Swimming is the best, swimming was the best, swimming will be the best. Here the word swimming does not depend on, it doesn't have a tense, it is independent. So swimming in the second example is a non-finite verb. That you have to recollect. The overall outlook on inflation is still far from reassuring. The overall outlook on inflation, that is a subject, is still far from reassuring. Is reassuring, you can easily understand, present continuous tense. Far from, this is a standard expression. Far from means away from. I hope you guys got it. The index of industrial production data from September also points to, again look at the what is there in the subject position. The index of industrial production data from September also points to a sharp slowdown. Points to what? A sharp slowdown in output. Easy to understand. While IIP growth slumped to an annual 3.1% pace from August 12%, overall industrial output of mining, manufacturing, and electricity actually shrank 2.6% on a sequential basis. This is again, it talks about all completely statistical data. While, and again, you have got the word while the finance ministry has cited, which tense is this? Present perfect tense. Cite slump means low economic activity or prices coming down, no business, and cite means to quote. What is the reason? Monsoon rains for the slump in mining and power generation, which contracted 8.4% and 11% month on month, a standard phrase. We cannot question the standard phrases, respectively. Index heavyweight manufacturing too suffered, a verb here, a 0.5% contraction. All statistical data. Four of the six use-based industrial categories. Now it talks about, the first part talks about certain aspects, and the second part of the editorial talks about industrial scenario, industrial uh, production, manufacturing. Four of the six use-based industrial categories saw. See, all this comes in the place of subject. Something saw output shrink. What saw output shrink? Four of the six use-based industrial categories saw output shrink, including consumer non-durables, which contracted 0.9%. Now you have an idiomatic expression. The only silver lining, what does it mean? Silver lining. There's a difficult situation, a problematic situation. In that situation, also you see some hope or some advantage. Then we say every cloud has a silver lining. The only silver lining was that consumer durables posted a healthy 6.7% jump in production from the preceding month, the month before, as white goods dealers likely stocked up ahead of the festival season. It talks about automobile industry. Automobile manufacturing slumped, means it came down 9% from a year earlier and shrank 3.3% from August output levels. What is the reason? As a global shortage of semiconductors crimped production. Here, global shortage of semiconductors crimped production. Crimp means have an adverse effect on something. As can be used as a conjunction. Do remember, adverb conjunction. How does the editorial end? Here, automakers, I think this is a fagend of the, yes. Automakers have reported, which tense is this? Immediately you have to recollect the tense, present perfect tense. More than 20% declines. Decline means to come down, one meaning you got yesterday. And what is the other meaning, decline? To refuse. Decline here, it means to come down. Automakers have reported more than 20% declines in production for October as well, as a chip scarcity shortage of something, coupled with high input costs abides. Here the subject is an important sentence exam point of view. The chip scarcity coupled with, then we should not consider the two subjects, we have to consider scarcity, which is singular, abides, coupled with high input costs. Don't focus on the word costs. Focus on the word as a chip scarcity, coupled with high input costs, abides. Abide means to exist. Abide by a different meaning, to remain or continue to exist in this context. And given that manufacturers who have so far sought to avoid risking the tenuous demand, tenuous means what? Something that is weak, unimportant, or something in doubt. Here, doubtful demand, recovery by raising product prices, may not be able to defer increases for much longer, postpone increases for much longer. Based on this situation, the main idea of the editorial, policymakers will have to ensure they don't drop their guard on inflation. Drop scarcity means shortage, lack of something. This is an idiomatic expression. What does it mean? Not to be alert when you're supposed to be alert. And will have to, an important expression. Already you have learned the helping verb have to, has to. Have to goes with all the pronouns except third person singular. Third person singular, we have to use has to. What is a function? It is used to express an obligation imposed by an external authority or a situation. But you may ask, sir, what is this will have to? That talks about in future. Will have to is a standard expression. It means in future. It refers to future. Shortage, scarcity, lack, dearth of, you can use all these words. Very good. Dearth of, Raghu, I appreciate. Now let us go to important expressions, phrases, idioms that are important from the exam point of view. Focus on something. You should focus on the editorial. So it takes a preposition on. You put something at risk, put at risk. It has been put at risk. Here you have to focus on the preposition at. Revival of the fortunes, revival of the standards. So you have to focus on the preposition of. Revival, revitalize, bring back. Thank you very much, Varaprasad. As well as very important, in so many competitive exams, so many times they've given questions based on conjunctions, especially with, along with, together with, as well as. You have to recollect the rule. When we use any of these, there are about 15. In fact, you have to recollect all the 15. The verb agrees with the first subject. Example, the minister as well as the party workers have been arrested. Not correct. The minister as well as the party workers has been arrested. The verb agrees with the first subject. Both end. This goes with common errors. Again, exam point of view, very important. Both as well as a common error. Both takes end. Outlook for something, outlook for the new year, outlook for the season, outlook for the next year. Someone asked, sir, why not months on months? Why not years on years? In English, when it comes to English, we have phrases, and these are all fixed, idioms fixed. You may, I would like to give one example. Once in a blue moon. Here you cannot decide the meaning based on the words. Not my cup of tea, not of my interest. How is it related to tea? But you cannot look at it that way when it comes to English. Acceleration, we have to accept, respect, and move on. Acceleration in production, acceleration in something. Focus on the preposition. Ease in the pace. Ease means comfort. Ease in the pace, ease in the something, whatever activity, ease in the work, ease while playing, ease while speaking. Account for, answerable for. Who is that? So, account for, important expression. Far from reassuring, this is a standard phrase. Far from reassuring, away from reassuring. Index of, this is an important word, and based on this, one thing you have to focus on the preposition of, and you have to recollect all the nouns of Latin and Greek origin. Index, indices or indexes, matrix, matrices, and also if you take syllabus, syllabi, medium, media or mediums, memorandum, memoranda, phenomenon, phenomena, all these you have to recollect. That is being smart. You consolidate your information, knowledge on a sequential basis, on some basis. What is that basis? Sequential basis. Slump in business, slump in market, preposition in. Every cloud has a silver lining. They have given many a time SBI, PO. And preceding month, preceding means before, precede, before. Decline in prices, decline in standards, decline in number. Far from the maddening crowd. Yes, very good example. Raising product prices. I have told you guys, I have been telling you guys, whenever you come across a rise, a raise, you got to be alert and you have to recollect. A rise, rose, risen. Raise, raised, raised. And what is the last one? Drop their guard. This is also an idiomatic expression. That means here, not being alert when you're supposed to be alert. What are the questions you can think of based on this editorial? What is this editorial about, as usual? What suggests that it would be prudent to adopt caution on the outlook for the economy? All key words, easy to make out. That takes a lot of time. Who is this? Mira. We cannot do. Already we are running. Every day we run out of time. Of late we have been running out of time. There's so much I can give, but time is important. In the context of the editorial, what is particularly disconcerting? One word is enough to locate and write the answer or find out the answer. What is the reason for slump in mining and power generation? Again, what are the key words? Slump in mining and power generation. What crimped, a key word? Production in automobile manufacturing industry. Answer. Easy to answer. Now let us go to practice questions based on this, based on exam topics. See, I can do so much, but 60 minutes we got to be a little careful. And this itself, it is, what time is it? Almost 40 minutes we have spent. Now we have to spend time on practice questions based on exam topics. I know. Far from madding crowd. Thomas Hardy, Hardy books. I would read as a child. I used to, in fact. Please try to spot the error These are from one of the previous year's papers. You can assess your standards and do remember your score all the time. Storm in a teacup has also nothing to do with a teacup. Very good, Madhav. You're right. Storm in it is nothing but a storm in a teacup, nothing to do with a teacup. Idioms, the meanings of idioms don't depend on the words. Usually, I tell students, even English people cannot guess the meaning of a particular idiomatic expression if the context is not there. I'm not getting enough time, Govindu. That is the reason I'll try to do something about it. I'm hard pressed for time. Hard pressed for time means no time at all. I teach every day, 7 to 8 hours. I have my own commitments. Besides, and every session I have to spend a lot of time preparing the material and not able to squeeze in time. Please understand. The judge asked the man if the bag he had lost contained or contained. No, there is an error. If the bag he had lost contained, it should go into the past. There is an error in the third part. The judge asked the man if the bag he had lost contained 5,000 rupees. The man replied that it did. Emphatic. Contain is not correct. Manoj has got it right. It should be contained. After that, I see Srinivas also. Contained. Very good. Now, please go to question number 2. I trust you will show forbearance, tolerance to me a few minutes more so that I can finish this work. Past perfect. You're right, Sanju. I trust you will show forbearance to me a few minutes more so that I can finish this work. Question number 2. I know because Govindu, the economist, it is written. I appreciate that's a very good habit. Don't give up. Keep doing it. It helps in the long run. Lost is what? Lost is a bag, obviously. He had lost the bag. But slowly you will be able to understand, comprehend. Do remember that. I trust you will show. No, no, here it is not a few minutes more. Nothing wrong with that. I trust or I hope. What will you say? What is the need to use the word trust here? I hope you will wait for me. Will you say, I hope you will wait for me? Or will you say, I trust you will wait for me? What will you say? Please answer my question. Will you say, you will show sympathy? I hope you will show some sympathy, or I hope you will come tomorrow. I hope you will trust, you will bear with me. Will you say that, or will you say, I trust? Trust does not go with tolerate, forbearance, tolerate. Hope is the right word. It is based on inappropriate word. Trust does not go with the context. Context is very important. Very important. Need not use with, not required, Ashok. The question of the who is this Ramesh? Please go to question number 3. The ground outside the village, abounding with frogs and snakes, the enemies of mankind, is soft and marshy. Snakes are not enemies of mankind. They are good for farmers. They control pests. See, The Economist is the toughest. The reason being, The Economist is written for Britishers and Americans. What is their mother tongue? English. And those who are highly qualified Americans, highly qualified Britishers, read the Economist magazine, intellectuals. Obviously, the standards should be very high. They are for native speakers. If you take the Hindu, the standards are different. The economist, the standards are different. Reasons are quite obvious. Who is this? Question number three. Please mention the question number. I see Surya John, very good. But Madhav, do remember, a lot of students may think abounding. Abound means to have in excess, abundance. You excess, abundance, Nayak, Rahul. Abounding means to be in excess, to exist in excess, or abundant. But here, a lot of students must have thought there's an error with this preposition. But do remember, nothing wrong with this. Abounding, you can say abounding. It takes two prepositions. In, correct, with, also correct. Madhav, have you got it? You can use in or you can use with. Based on that, I appreciate those students who have chosen the fifth option, no error. That is the answer. The ground outside the village abounding with frogs and snakes, the enemies of mankind. Here, the ground abound outside the village. What is the subject? The ground. Outside the village, a phrase. Abounding with frogs and snakes, a phrase. The enemies of mankind, a phrase. See, this awareness is very important from the exam point of view. The ground is soft and marshy. There's no error. There is no error whatsoever. But how do you decide? This is what I've been telling you guys. If you read a lot, you get exposed to the language. And if you're a smart learner, when you read the Hindu or the Economist, you have to think from grammar point of view, the sentence pattern point of view, subject, verb, object, and after the subject, there is a phrase, there is a clause. After the object, there is a phrase, there is a clause. You should be able to identify. If you cannot do that, I'm sorry to say you're not ready for the exam. This is what I've been telling because before 2016, the sentences were very short, easy to understand. After that, SBI changed everything. Now the sentences are lengthy. Any sentence that has a lot of phrases, a lot of clauses, not easy to understand. Not at all easy to understand. No, I cannot suggest on this platform. Who is this Swarnalatha? You join. I work for an academy. I have been offering courses, grammar and vocabulary, reading comprehension, separate courses are there. And if you want to take the subscription or enroll, you have to use my referral code Murthy10. And my profile, you can see Venkata Kollapati, not as Murthy, sir, Venkata Kollapati, you search, then my referral code 10, you get 10% discount. Yes, yes, I will do that. Please work on question number four. Have you answered? Just loss or no restraint with the freedom of the good. For the good man desires, for here for means because the good man desires nothing, which a just law means perfect law. Interfere, this is very difficult. Interfere is not correct, it should be interferes with. Law is singular. A just law interferes with. Very good, Shyam. I appreciate. A restraint with. Nothing wrong there. Only one error here. Interfere is not correct. Interferes. What is the reason? The subject here of the clause law interferes with. Not easy. Some of these are not easy under pressure. Had he done his homework well, he wouldn't have suffered this embarrassment. This is easy, should not be a problem. Remember, there are two types of questions you come across in the exam. One, based on rules, very easy to answer. Second, based on the context, contextual awareness, very difficult. Anyone can answer questions based on rules. That does not give you the competitive edge, but only those who read the Hindu or the Economist or English newspaper, any newspaper for that matter, they get exposed to the language, and they have this contextual awareness. They can answer, and usually they are the people who have the competitive edge. What is the answer? This is an easy one. Oh no, no. This is based on the rules you have already learned. Had he done his homework well, he would not have suffered. First, you have to focus on he would have suffered affirmative, he would not have suffered negative. You have to recollect would plus have plus verb, past participle form, main clause, main clause. Here, this is a main clause. Then immediately you have to tell yourself, oh, this sentence is based on past conditional. Past conditional, if clause. Any conditional has two clauses, main clause, if clause. If clause, past perfect tense. If he had done, if he had done, which tense is this? Past perfect tense. But there's an option, there's a choice. If you drop the word if, you can drop, then this should be an interrogative. He had done affirmative, and what is interrogative? Interrogative form. Nothing wrong. You can say either if he had done or had he done. Both mean the same. Both are grammatically correct. So answer, I don't know who has chosen no error. Ashok, Naresh, Ramesh. Only three students. I think some more. Beam Singh also. Naidu, Paidi Naidu. Yes, very good. No error. And what is this about? Past conditional. It's as simple as that. We are running out of time. Please answer double fillers based on contextual awareness. Double fillers, very important. The teacher must, had he done nothing wrong with that, the teacher must the unique style of a learner in order to it to the desired knowledge. An easy one should not be that difficult. Advocate means to support, one meaning. Advocate, lawyer, another meaning. Perpetuate, continue doing something. Perpetuator, that's a different meaning altogether. And perpetrators, different meaning. Appreciate, you can consider absorb, not relevant. But here, the teacher, what is the job of the teacher? He has to discover the potential of the student. Based on that, the teacher must discover the unique style of a learner in order to harness means extract it to the desired knowledge. Answer is the fifth option. No one has got it right. Surya John has got it right. The teacher must discover the unique style of a learner in order to harness or extract it to the desired knowledge. Please go to question number 2. Not all countries benefit. Only a few students have got the fifth option. That is the answer. Now go to question number 2. We are running out of time. It's already 7:54. Not all countries benefit. No one has responded. Question number 2. 2-1. No, not correct. You cannot use generate. Downgrade. Context is positive or negative neutral. Downgrade, no. Ascribe. Attribute, not correct. Percolate means to go down. To go down. To trickle. Trickle down uniformly. Judiciously means carefully. Facilitate, no. Not all countries benefit uniformly, not the same way, from liberalization. The benefits tend to percolate, means go down or trickle down, first to the advantaged and to those with the right education to be able to benefit from the opportunities presented. Answer is a fourth option. Very good, those who have got. He has, this is also not easy. You got to read very carefully. And all these are based on, fillers are always based on contextual awareness. Fillers depend on context. That is important. He has sense of words. No one has responded. Question number 3. All these questions are very challenging under pressure, that too. Not easy to answer. Second one, very good. Who is this? Naidu. I appreciate. First one to respond. And you got it right. Anil Kumar. Oh, that's really good. He has profound, you can consider deep, profound knowledge, but you cannot use the word pregnant with rich meaning. That is not relevant. And I'm going to tell attribute. Ascribe means attribute. Who is that? Govindu. Tomorrow you will get selected, and on stage, success meet. What will you say? I attribute my success to my parents. Means what? The my parents are responsible people behind my success. Attribute means that ascribe, attribute, same meaning. He has distinguished, outstanding sense of words, loaded, are always loaded with a rich meaning. Answer is the second option. Very good. Not terrific, not meaningful, not outstanding you can use, but consistent you cannot use. Outstanding can be used. Please go to question number 4. He was an. You can use your grammar knowledge, but unfortunately, all these begin with a vowel letter, a vowel sound. So, a bit difficult. You have to understand the context. Musician. And during the Second World War, and okay, easy. Fourth one is also easy. Context is positive, underestimated, ruled out. Obdurate, ruled out. Stubborn. Deep thinker, nice of you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, here, third option, very good. He was an accomplished musician, had been awarded the George Medal during the Second World War, and honored with, honored takes a preposition with, the title of Rai Bahadur. Very good sentence. Let us go to question number 5. It's already 7:58. Analysis is taking a lot of time, but I want you guys to give the feedback today. I have done from language point of view. I want the feedback after the session. At the end of the session, you could honored with the key combination. Very good, Adi. You're perfect. You're right. So whether it be shallow or not, commitment is the foundation, the bedrock. Bedrock also means the foundation of any genuinely loving relationship. Here, expression perfunctory means superficial. Perfunctory, an important word. Superficial, not deep. Manifestation, key, alarmingly, you cannot use. Basis you can use, but absorbing, not correct. So, what is the answer here? Second option. No, no, second option. The foundation, genuinely loving relationship. Positive. We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. Just try to answer quickly, or I will answer. I will read the question, I'll give the answer because it's already 7:59. Here you have to find out either four words are there, they could be synonyms or antonyms. Benevolent, charitable, both mean the same. So what is the answer here? AC, answer is the fourth option. Stupendous means something outstanding. Huh. Thank you very much, Ganesh. Nice of you. Alarming, so not correct. Convenient, intolerant, endurant, Protestant. So here, intolerant, cannot tolerate, and Protestant, someone who does not tolerate will try to protest. Based on that, it should be B, D. Answer is the fourth option. Push, thrive, flourish. Thriving business, flourishing business. We have got many a time. So what is the answer here? B, C. Refuse, discourage, lurk, hide. Lurk means to hide secretly, to hide obviously, to ambush, hide also same. So here C, D. Which option is C, D? Then we have punishment, divergence, confluence, confidence. Confluence, convergence, divergence, opposite. Based on that, answer is two antonyms, B, C. And white elephant idiom, costly or troublesome possession. Expensive but difficult to maintain. Under a cloud, under suspicion. Third option. He has to abide by the hard and fast rule, means strict rule. All these are very important idioms. That's what I've said. Give me some time. I cannot decide. Very hard pressed for time, very tight. Flogging a dead horse means no wasting time in useless effort. That's all for today. Thanks for being with me with 1 past 8. Have a nice day. And do remember to subscribe and share. Join the Telegram group. It works. It is working. Every day, a lot of students join. It seems you cannot, it doesn't work on your mobile, but if you use a laptop, it works. If it doesn't work, message me. I will add you immediately. And use